All right, so we start. So directed numbers.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what directed numbers are, right? Basically the signs, numbers with positive signs and negative signs.
Okay.
We talk about the negative numbers. Those are the numbers to the left of the zero on the number line. And then when we talk
Mm-hmm.
about positive numbers, those numbers to the right of zero on the number line. So
Mm-hmm.
let me just highlight that quickly here. So let's say we have a straight line there. We have zero. We have positive
Mm-hmm.
1, positive 2,
Mm-hmm.
positive 3. These are the positive numbers. All right, so we talk about to the
Okay.
right. These are to the right of the origin or the zero. And then to the left of zero,
Mm-hmm.
we have the negative numbers. Negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, and so forth. And they go on to infinity
Mm-hmm.
in both directions, right?
Yeah.
So to the left,
Yeah.
the direction, to the left, we have the negative number to the left of zero, and to the right of zero, we have the positive numbers. Hence, we talk about directed numbers, positive or negative numbers.
Okay.
All right, and so it's all about dealing with signs, numbers with the same
Mm-hmm.
signs and numbers with different signs. So we have addition, subtraction. Now for addition, if the numbers have the same signs, or if we're adding two numbers and they have the same signs, it's telling us that we should do what? This is just a review, a recap. What it
If the
says.
numbers have the same signs,
Mm-hmm.
that means you add them
Right, and take the sign, correct?
and take the sign. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. So let's say we add in negative 3 to negative 4. What should we do?
It would be -7.
Right, so we add the 3 and the 4, get 7, and take the negative sign. Or another
Mm-hmm.
a better word probably to use is to keep the sign, keep the
Keep the
negative sign.
sign.
So if we
Ah.
add in positive 3 to positive 7,
It's going to be 10.
right, so positive 3 to positive 7 give us positive 10. So we basically add and keep the sign. Now,
Okay.
in reference to when the signs are different, when we add in two numbers
Different.
with different signs, what should we do?
Mm.
We subtract,
Well, you subtract them because the signs are different.
right? So we add in this instance, negative 5 to positive 9. We're gonna subtract,
Take them away.
right? So the 5 from the 9 will give us 4.
4.
And then
Yeah.
in reference to the signs now, which one would we take? This is saying sign of the largest absolute value.
Is it the bigger number?
Well, and the reason why they kind of keep away from saying the bigger number, because for instance, positive 8 is really bigger than negative 13. For instance, if you have negative
Okay.
13 in your account, right, and you have a
Mm-hmm.
positive 8 in your account, bank account, in another bank account, which one you have more money
Mm-hmm.
in?
+8.
Right. So the positive 8 is larger,
+8 would be more. Yeah.
is way larger than negative 13. In fact, negative 13 is smaller than 0. And you know for a fact that 0 is smaller than
Because
8.
it's nothing.
No, it's not. We wouldn't say it's nothing. It's representing something. Like the temperature dropping
That you
below
owe something.
right. Like the temperature dropping below 0 degrees, right? That's
Mm-hmm.
pretty cool, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Going above 0 gets warmer and warmer. So the negative represents something, but not that it's nothing. It's the numbers represent something. Okay, so
Okay.
but when we say larger absolute value, that gives us a better way of explaining it. For instance, let me just show you that quickly.
Mm-hmm.
So let's look at negative 3, for instance, and look at positive 2.
Mm-hmm.
Which one of these
Mm-hmm.
have a larger absolute value? Now let me just explain what absolute value is in this case. Right? The absolute value is talking about how far the number is away from 0, the origin.
Oh, okay.
Right? How many units away is negative 3? So if you start at 0, how many units do you have to move to get to negative 3?
2.
1, 2,
2.
3. So if you're at negative
Also,
3,
you include the 3?
yes, because you're going to move from 0. So you're going to move 1 unit, 2
Mm-hmm.
units, 3 units. See that?
Oh, okay. I thought it was leaving out the 3.
No, because we haven't reached there, so we have to actually shift once, twice, 3 times to get to -3.
Okay.
So the absolute value of
Mm-hmm.
-3 is +3, or we can say 3 units. In other words, -3 has an absolute value of 3.
3.
So absolute value just
Mm-hmm.
simply mean how far it is away from what? 0. Got that?
The 0. Yeah.
Okay.
Understand.
Okay, good. Well, let's look at this one. What's the absolute value of 3? Remember what absolute value is, right? How far it is
Yeah.
away from
3.
3 as well. Very good.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you look at this 3 over here, how far is it away from the origin or 0? 1, 2, 3.
2, 3.
3 units. So both
Yeah.
-3 and +3, they have the same absolute value. Both of them are
Yes.
3 units away from 0.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So the absolute value of
Mm-hmm.
a negative number is a positive number, basically.
Okay.
Got that? So that's why.
Mm-hmm.
So if you look at this, let's look at it now. Look at +2. What's the absolute value of +2? How far is it away from
2.
the 0, from the
2.
origin? 2 units. Good. So let me ask you a question.
Mm-hmm.
Which is greater?
2 or 3?
The absolute value of -3 or the absolute value
Um,
of +2? Which is
okay,
greater?
let me see. The -3.
Right. The absolute value of -3 is 3. And the absolute value of 2 is 2, right?
Yeah.
And so we can say -3 has a greater absolute value.
Mm-hmm.
Because the absolute value of -3 is 3. And the absolute value
Mm-hmm.
of 2 is 2. So which has a
Mm-hmm.
greater absolute value? The -3.
-3. Yeah.
Right. Has a greater absolute value. But -3 in
Mm-hmm.
itself is smaller than 2.
Yeah.
Right? -3, let's put it up here. -3 is less than +2.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because numbers to the left of 2, they're what? Smaller than 2, ain't it? Like 1 is
Yeah.
smaller than 2.
Mm-hmm.
0 is smaller than 2. -1 is smaller than 2. So the more you go to the left, the smaller the numbers get.
The smaller it becomes, yeah.
Right. So therefore, -3 is less than 2. However, when we talk about the absolute value now,
The value, it is more.
right, because it's basically how far it is away from the origin. So 2 is closer to 0 than -3.
No, yeah.
In other words, -3 has a greater or larger absolute value.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why they say here, subtract. So let's look at -13.
Mm-hmm.
-13, and we're adding that to +8, right? We're adding that to
Mm-hmm.
+8. -13, and we add into +8. The signs are different, so we subtract, and we're going to get 5. But which one of these have a larger absolute value? The -13 or the 8? Which one of them is further away from 0? The -13 or the 8?
13, -13.
Right, so we keep the sign of the one that has a larger absolute value. So that would be negative. So that's a better way to express it than saying keep the sign of the larger
Okay.
number, because
Oh, okay.
the positive numbers are always bigger than the negative numbers.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Is that clear?
Yeah, clear.
Okay. So that's the best. So we keep the sign of the one with the larger absolute value, the one that is further away from
Mm-hmm.
the 0, the origin.
Well,
Okay.
I was just thinking of it as the signs are different, so it's negative.
Oh, no. The sign, for instance, look at this one. The -5 and 9. The signs are different, right?
Yeah.
So we subtract. We get 4.
Mm-hmm.
But we have to think about which signs we keep. Which one of these will we keep? Will we keep negative or will we keep positive? It depends on which one has the larger absolute value.
Okay.
So which one has a larger absolute value? The
So when you're
-5 or the
doing
9?
CXC with that, you have to do the scale and all that.
No, but when you get accustomed to it, it becomes easy for you to figure out which one you keep.
Oh, okay then.
Right. So look at it. Which number has the larger absolute value? -5 or 9?
9.
Right, because 9 is further away from 0. You
Yeah.
get it, yeah. It's like saying ignore the signs and see which one of them is bigger, the 5 or the 9? The 9. Like for instance, with the 13 and the 8, ignoring the signs, which one is bigger? The 13 is bigger,
13.
ignoring the signs. So keep the sign of that one. Or another way you can say it is 13. Okay, we have more negatives than we have positives. We have 13 negatives and 9 positives, right? So we keep the one that we have more of. We keep the negative because we have more negatives than we do positives. Got it?
Yeah.
Okay, very good. All right, so what I'm going to do now, let me just illustrate this quickly for you using another example.
Okay.
Right, let's use another example here. I'm going to use a number line just to illustrate this now. All right, so let's say we have the number line here. Let's say we have the origin there. We have -1, -2, -3, -4, -5, and so forth. And then we have 1, 2, 3. These are positives. Go on. Okay, going on. All right, so here we have the origin there. Now let's say we want to illustrate this. -5 plus 2. What is -5 plus 2?
Okay, so you subtract them.
Let's see, -5 plus 3. Give me a second, 1 second. -5 plus 4, -5 plus 5, -5 plus 6, -5 plus 7. All right, and then you're going to look at the pattern and see what you're noticing, all right? Okay, so -5
so
plus
the
2.
signs are different. Okay, the signs are different, so you subtract 2 from 5, which will be 3, and you keep the sign.
Okay, so you're going to subtract
negative
2 from 5, which is 3.
Yeah. -3.
Okay, why put negative?
Because 5 is bigger.
Okay, what we're
and
talking about.
5.
Go ahead.
5 is more away from the 0.
All right, so -5 you're talking about. -5 is further away from 0.
Yeah.
Okay, very good. And another way of saying it is that -5 has a what?
It has the
largest absolute value.
Largest absolute value.
Right. The -5 has the largest absolute value. So put the negative there. And what would say the largest absolute? What would mean by absolute value again? How further it is away?
How far it is away from the 0.
How far it is away from the 0. So comparing them, -5 is further away from 0. So this is -5 over here. It's 5 units away, right? 5 units. And +2, even though we didn't put a sign there, it's +2. It's just simply what? 2 units. 2 units away from 0. So which is further away? The 5 or the 2?
5. The 5.
The -5 or the 2, I should say.
The -5.
Right, so we keep the sign of that one. All right, good. Now, let us actually illustrate it, though, on the number line itself, though. Let's illustrate it on the number line.
Okay.
All right, let's start with 0. So we're going to start with 0. So we're going to start with 0. And we want to get to -5. So we're going to start with from the origin, and we're going to follow the instruction to move 5 units to the negative implies the left, and the positive implies the right. So from the origin, we're going to move what? How many units to the left?
5.
All right, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
5. Yeah.
So we shift 5 units to the left, and that lands us at -5. Right? So that's 5 units to the left. And then what we want to do next?
Go to the right for the 2.
Go to the right for the 2.
0.
Right. So we're here at what? -5, and we're going to move what? 2 units, right? To the right. 1, which this lands us at what? -4. And another shift will lands us where?
-2. -3, sorry.
-3. Very good. So we were at -5 after moving 5 units to the left from the origin. And then that lands us as what?
-3 when we move 2.
Right. So from the origin, 5 to the left, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then lands at -5, and then we'll shift 2 to the right. 1, 2. and that gives us -3. So that's what we're seeing here.
Okay. So you do it in the positive side, and then you could do it in the negative side, and it will still be the same.
Yes, we could try that. Let's try it and see. Let's try it. Do you want me to leave this one, and or you want I can erase it and then illustrate it as well?
You could leave it.
Okay, so let me leave that one. I'm going to illustrate it with another example then. Let's look at another example. 1 second. Get a similar color over here. All right, so I'm going to illustrate it here, right?
Okay.
So let's say we have the origin there, and we have 1, 2, 3, and then we go -1, -2, -3. These spaces should be equally calibrated, right? But as you know, it's
Yeah.
freehanded, so it's not exact. All right, so we're going to start at the origin. We're going to start at the origin. So let's go. So we started. So start at the origin. So we illustrating the -5 plus 2. So we're going to go. You say we want to try with the positive direction first, and then the negative direction, right?
Yeah.
So let's go. From the origin here, we're going to go what? How many units to the right?
We're gonna go 5 to the right.
Well,
We're doing the 5, right?
Well,
no.
This means 5 to the left. So we already illustrate that 5 to the left and then 2 to the right.
Oh yeah.
So what we want to do?
5 to the right. No.
No, we can't. We can't switch it like that because this 5 is actually the negative attached to it. So we have to follow the instruction of the number.
So you have to leave that. Oh, okay. So it's 2 to the right.
2 to the right. Very good. So we're gonna go. So just like with this one, we move 5 to the left and 2 to the right. We're still following the same direction, just that we're gonna have a different start. We're gonna start with this one and then go use this one afterwards.
Okay.
So from the origin, we're gonna go what?
2.
2 to the right. So we're gonna go 1, 2.
Yeah.
Which lands us at what? Positive 2?
2, positive 2.
And then we're gonna do what afterwards?
5.
In what direction?
5 to the left.
So we're gonna go 1, 2,
2,
3,
4, 5, -3.
-3. Same answer, right?
Okay.
Okay, so this would have probably been the first way of actually assessing what signs we use and so forth.
Yeah.
But they see a pattern in it, and then from the pattern, they just make these generalized rules.
Okay.
All right. So you see, no matter, so it's a different illustration, and I probably should have actually illustrated using the pen. So let's do that then, so you can actually see it. So we're gonna start from the origin. We say we're gonna move 2 to the right. Right. So 2 to the right, and then afterwards we move what? From the 2. We know at 2, so we're gonna move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to the left. So 5 to the left. All right, 5 to the left, and that lands us at
-3.
And the same thing with this one lands us at -3.
-3, yeah.
All right, so we realize the signs. So we don't want to be drawing number lines all the time. So we can actually just look at it. Okay, the signs are different. We subtract, and we keep the sign of the one that is further away from 0. Now let's just think about the further away from 0 business there, with the with the number line itself. Think about it. Look at it. Let's start from the origin. If we move 5 to the left, that will give us -5, correct?
Yeah.
How many more units do I need? How many units would I need to get back to the origin? So let's say we start at the origin and I move 5 to the left. How many units to the right would I need to go to get back to the origin? The origin is 0, okay? So if I'm at the origin, yeah, we'd have to add 5, ain't it?
Yeah.
So if I move 5 to the left, I will need to move 5 to the right to get back to the origin.
5 to the right to get back there, yes.
So look at it. We moved 5 to the left, and we only shifted 2 to the right. So it means that we'll be what? Still stuck in the negative direction.
Yeah.
Isn't that so? Yeah, it was this right, because we haven't moved 5 units to the right to bring us back to the origin. And if we want to reach over to the positive, we have to do what? We have to shift more than 5 to the right. Isn't that so?
Yeah.
Right. We'd have to have more positives than negatives if we want to get over this section.
Yeah.
So if we move, in other words, if I want to get back to 1 and I shift 5 to the left, how many units would I need to shift to the right to get back to 1? So let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to the left. how many units to the right would I have to go to get positive 1?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Sorry, 7?
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. 1, 2, 3. Remember, where you are, you don't count it as 1, You're counting the shifts.
You don't count it as 1 from 5?
No, because I haven't moved as yet. I have to shift. The shift. The length here is 1 unit. From here to here is 1.
That's 1.
Yes. So you understand? So wherever you are is always like 0. Like you haven't moved as yet. So let's say I move. Let's say I'm a 0 and I want to shift 5 to the left. This is 1 shift, right?
1.
2.
2.
3, 4, 5. Is the
so
length?
If it's to 1, it's 6 then.
Right. So it's the length of this distance here that is 1 unit, okay? The distance between -4 and -5, that's 1 unit.
That's 1.
Right.
Okay.
Not right. So it's a shift that we call 1 unit. We're measuring it. So we're gonna go 1. Okay. That's 1 shift. 2 shifts. 3, 4, 5, 6. So you're correct in saying that. So you got that?
Yeah.
And so we'll need 6 to get to what?
To get to the positive 1.
Right. So -5 plus 6 is actually positive 1, which is this one that we just illustrate down here. See that?
Okay.
-5 plus 6 will give us what? Positive 1.
Positive 1.
Right. So you have to add more positive than negative if you want to get a positive. The positive have to be more than the negative then. So let's suppose that we want to get to positive 2. Right? When I shift from the origin to -5, how many units to the right would I have to shift to get to positive 2?
7.
So -5, this implies that -5 plus 2 is equal to, sorry, -5 plus 7, positive 2. Right? Because, in other words, positive 7, right, has 2 more than the absolute value of -5.
Yeah.
If you want to think of it like that. All right. Or we can say we need to we'll have to basically to get to 7, we'll have to add 2 more than positive 5.
2 more to the, yeah.
Because if I'm at -5, I need to shift 5 to the right to get to 0, ain't it? But to get over to positive 2, I need to add 2 more to that.
2 more, yes.
Yeah. In other words, -5 plus 5 will give me what? Let's see if you understand.
Just 0. Just 0 alone.
Very good. Very good. That's the point. So you really understand it then. All right? And you can see why, right?
Yeah.
They will cancel out each other.
Yeah. Yeah.
It means that you would have started from the origin, you shift 5 to the left, and you're going back 5 to the right, so it'll land you right back at the start.
So you go back to the same place.
Right. But if you basically didn't complete the 5 and you stop at 4, that means you stop 1 short, ain't it?
Yes.
One short of getting to 0. And what would that number be?
1 short of the 0?
Yes. If you're at -5 and you move 4 to the right.
4?
Yes, 4 to the right. You're at -5 and you shift 4 to
-1?
-1. That means you're 1 short of getting back to 0.
Getting back there, yeah.
Okay. What about this one here now? -5 plus 3.
You subtract them.
Okay, very good. And you're going to get what?
-2.
Right. All right. So you subtract 3 from 5, get 2, and you keep the negative, right?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Awesome. But you're seeing, look at it. So some numbers, so you realize within 5s, all of them are negative, right?
All are negatives.
Right. But the numbers that we're adding, they're all positives as well.
They're all positives, yeah.
Yeah, the numbers that we're adding to -5, they're all positive. But what you notice though? What you notice?
I noticed that the sums, some are negative and some are positive.
And you have an instant where it's neither negative nor positive.
Yeah.
With a 0, right? 0 is neither negative nor positive.
Yeah, with a 0, yeah.
Right. So
it's incredible.
Right. So what determines the sign therefore when you're adding 2 numbers with different sign? What determines whether it's positive or negative?
How far away are you from your starting point?
Right. Very good. So basically, right. So if we have more negatives, if we're further away with the negatives, then the answer is going to be negative, correct?
Negative, yeah.
Right. In other words, if you look at negative 5 and positive 2, the negative 5 is further away from 0 than 2.
Yeah.
Same thing with negative 5 and 3. Negative 5 is further
Mm-hmm.
away. Same with negative 5 and 4. Negative 5 is further away from the origin, or 0.
Yeah.
This is the origin, 0. With negative 5 and positive 5, which is further away?
They're not for none.
Right, so that's why it's 0.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So they're the same distance apart. And if you think of the number line is shifting, 5 to the left and 5 to the right, you're going back to the same place,
Yeah.
the origin. All right, so you got that though?
Yeah.
All right, good stuff. So what about when the signs are the same though? What about when the signs are the same?
When the signs are the same, you add.
Right. And so let's look at that now, correct? Let's look at that. So what about when the signs are the same? So let's say we are the origin. 1, 2, 3. I mean, this one we have been doing since primary school. We add and keep the sign, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you might say no. Okay, well, let's get it. 1 plus 2 is what?
3.
Right. And the signs aren't the same. Positive 1 added to positive 2.
Same signs.
Yeah, you add and keep the sign.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that we have been doing it with all positives. But what about when you have
Yeah.
negative 1 plus negative 2? What about
You
when you have...
subtract.
Right. So sometimes you persons may... Well, do you subtract?
Yeah, but because it have the plus sign, the addition sign tells you what you have to do with those two directed numbers.
Okay. But you're adding... The two directed numbers you're adding. The two directed numbers you're adding. Do they have the same signs or different signs?
They have the same signs.
And so if they have the same sign, what should we do?
You keep the sign.
And what we do with the numbers?
You add them.
Okay, so you're saying add them, but you're saying that with a question mark. You're like you're not sure. Okay, well let's check on this. Let's check it on this. Okay, we're gonna illustrate the first one that you got correct. 1, 2, 3, negative 1. Are you seeing these numbers clearly?
Yeah.
Negative 3 and so forth. Okay, I'll put negative 4 here. Okay, give me a second. Let me just get a different color quickly. Let me use red. Okay, so let's illustrate the first one. Negative 1, but positive 1, sorry, plus positive 2. Easy stuff. So we always start from the where? The origin, correct?
Yeah.
So
0.
So when we add a 1, right? We add 1. That lands us at what? Positive 1.
Yeah.
How much more we need to add? It's
So
right
2?
here. 2.
1 more.
Well, we start at positive 1. We move from 0 and we add a 1 to the right. That's what positive 1 is saying here. And then what we're gonna add afterwards is right there. How much more? How many more we're gonna add?
1 more. 1 more.
Not quite.
For positive 2?
Yes, positive 2 mean we move 2 places.
When you move from, let me see.
This 1 is different from this 2. So we follow the instruction of the positive 1, which means 1 to the right. Now we need to follow the instruction of the positive 2, which means what? How many to the right? What positive 2 means?
2. Sorry. Yeah, you have to go back to 0. Sorry.
Yeah, but that's okay.
2.
That's okay. So, and 2 to the right means we're going to start wherever we left off from positive 1, we're going to move 2 to the right, okay? So 1, 2 to the right. Got that?
Oh, okay.
Right, so that's 2 to the right.
Oh, okay.
And so we land at what?
When you left off at that 1, you just add on going from where you left off.
Correct. It's like you have $1 in your account and you put $2. You're not going to start back from 0 again. You're going to start from the $1 you have already. So you should have $3, right?
Yeah.
Right. So that should give us a 3, correct?
Okay.
Right. So that should, and that's where we say, okay, this is correct. Let's illustrate this one down here now. We're adding negative 1 to negative 2. Are we going in the same direction with the negative 1 and the negative 2 or different direction?
We're going in the same direction for the two numbers.
Very good. That's important. The addition just tell us, okay, follow the signs of the numbers.
Explain the addition, because It has an addition in the middle of
The
them.
addition means to follow the instruction of the number, the signs of the numbers, the direction of the signs of the numbers. So the
Oh,
negative
okay.
1 and the negative 2, we follow the direction of those numbers. All
So
right?
that means you're adding the numbers.
Right. So the addition here means to follow the direction of the plus 1 and the positive 1, positive 2. Okay, I know you're probably confused with addition and subtraction and so forth, but I'm just saying, see with this addition
No, I'm
sign,
not confused.
oh, okay. With the positive sign, it just tell you to follow the direction of the signs of the numbers. So with the positive 1, we will go from origin, move 1 to the right. On the positive 2, we move 2 to the right. The addition is
Yeah.
not doing anything at all, but telling us to follow the instruction
Okay.
of the signs of
Follow.
the
Right.
numbers.
Right.
So
Okay.
addition is just going in it's telling us to go with the direction of the signs of the numbers, correct? Okay.
Okay.
All right. So we're gonna go with the direction of what? Negative 1, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so we had the origin. What negative 1 means?
You're going
Which direction?
one to the left.
1 unit to the left.
1 unit to the left. Yeah.
Right, negative 1. And what the negative 2 means?
One more.
No. We follow the
You're
instruction of
going
this.
back to the 0?
No. Wherever, just like we did here, wherever we stop, we're gonna continue from there. So we add 0 and we follow the instruction of the negative 1, meaning 1 to the left. Now we're gonna follow the instruction of negative 2. This is where we are right
Okay,
now.
so if you stop off at 1, you go 1, 2.
Right. But remember, it's negative 1 we are at. Negative 1,
Negative 1,
not
yeah.
1, but negative 1. And then we're gonna follow this instruction to move what now?
Yeah. Two spaces to the left.
Right. We're not gonna go back to the origin, no.
Okay.
All right. So we're gonna go
So it would be negative
1,
3.
2. Right. And that lands us at negative 3.
Okay.
All right. So once you're adding two numbers and they have the same signs, you go in the direction of the signs. 1, 2, 3. All right. And we go in the left direction because you have two negatives. Right. So we go in the left direction. When two positives, we go into the right direction. Hence the term directed. All right. Numbers. Follow? So a quick way to do this, rather than using the number lines, you just come up with the rules that if the signs are the same, we add the numbers and keep the sign. When we're adding two numbers and they have the same signs, you add the numbers and keep the signs. However, if we're adding two numbers with opposite signs, we subtract. So it sounds funny that we're saying if we're adding and then we're still saying subtracting. Well, it's just a fact that we're adding directed numbers. Adding doesn't necessarily mean we're gonna add or subtract. It depends on the signs, okay?
Yeah.
Right. So even though we're adding, we can end up subtracting. Because subtraction is a form of addition. It just depends on the signs of the numbers. Got it? So if the signs are the same, we do what? We add the digits or the numbers and keep the sign.
Keep the sign, yeah.
Alright, so when we're adding directed numbers and they have different signs, we subtract. Right. And take the sign of the large of the
largest absolute value.
Right. Follow?
Yeah. I follow.
See something like this though, look at this. Negative 1 minus 2. Am I figuring, okay, how do I deal with this? Well, you can just insert an addition sign. You can insert an addition sign like this. Negative 1, insert an addition sign and keep this minus with the 2 as a negative 2. So in fact,
that's what it means when it's like that?
Yes, it's really negative. We can say negative 1 plus negative 2.
Okay.
And it's mean the same negative 3. The signs are the same, so we add the numbers and keep the sign, negative 3. It's the same thing we're seeing down here. Keep negative. Okay.
Yeah. I'll just keep a plus sign in my mind when I see it like that.
Right, but there's another way to think of it. Right? It's just the way you think of it. There's several ways of thinking of the same thing. Let's look at over here. Because if you're seeing a sign like this, you're thinking subtraction. You're thinking this is saying, let me illustrate it here. Negative 1 minus 2. This is what this is actually saying. Negative 1 minus 2. So they're saying here, if you're subtracting, change the subtraction to addition, or should I say change to add in the opposite. Add in the what? Opposite. So what are we subtracting? We are this -1 subtract 2. Or -1 subtract what? +2. -1 subtract +2. But we don't usually put the positive sign. So -1
Yeah.
subtract +2, correct? What they're
Yes.
saying,
Yes.
what
Yes.
what they're
Yes.
saying you need to do
That's how I
is
thought of it at first when I saw it.
right, which is correct. But what they're saying here is to change this subtraction to add in the opposite. So we're going to change this subtraction to addition. And what's the opposite of +2?
Negative.
-2. And then now,
Okay.
and then here you use back the same rule you've been using over here.
Mm-hmm.
All right?
When the
Add it,
signs are the same, you
we
add
add,
them. Keep the sign.
right. And that gives us that. Okay, so that's one way of thinking about it. Got it?
Okay. Yeah.
All right, awesome. So, all right, 1 second though.